Welcome back, learners. This week we have been discussing from block 2 tribal policies and legislations, and the topic what we were discussing is tribal territories and common property resources. We will continue with this topic. Now let us look at what are the legislative writs for tribal territories. Since the colonial period, various legislative acts have been implemented pertaining to resource exploitation and use by the tribal. The Forest Act of 1800 can be taken as an example. Before the promulgation of this act, grazing was free, which was circumscribed somewhat when the concept of the reserve forest was introduced, and most of the states closed the forests to the people. So, the monopolization of forest resources was witnessed, resulting in the degradation of valuable resources. Since all lands belonged to state, it invited the outsiders, 43 industrialists, for selling the resources in the name of development without being sensitive to the culture and lives of the people depending on the forest. As a result, people lost their legitimacy along with resource constraint. Gradually, when population increased, competition arose within these scarce resources. Thus, the Forest Conservation Act in the year 1980, which froze the status of the forest, restricted people entering into it. However, certain concessions were made. As resources were in abundance, there was not much competition among the population. However, strict regulations were followed. The concessions given to them were sufficient in conserving their livelihood and culture. The decline or the marginalization of the common property resources is also observed in the forced displacement of population due to dams, industries and other projects. The Land Acquisition Act of 1894 has allowed them to occupy the private as well as the public land for doing such kinds of ventures which the conventionalists think as development. When we look at the existing tribal forest laws, it have also ignored the cultural ethos of the tribal communities by certain laws viewing them as encroachers, poachers and destroyer of forest resource because they practice shifting or slash burning cultivation. The colonial regime systematically introduced the concept of individual property ownership of land and other natural resources. The Indian Forest Act of 1878 established absolute proprietary right of the state over forest land. The Land Acquisition Act came in operation in the year 1894. Their customary rights over CPRs were lost and made them vulnerable as the resource users themselves could not market the resources. Babu and Dent in the year 1966, he wrote, in tune with the trends of development policies adopted by the state towards development of these common property resources, which has been modified to reflect the growing concerns of policymakers and the villagers and their changing needs. Since the year 1980, there has been a marked shift in policy towards conservation with the enactment of the Forest Conservation Act 1980 and the new National Forest Policy of 1988. After the introduction of the Gram Sabha in the scheduled areas under the 73rd Amendment of the Constitution has given the local people control over their territories and also distribution of minor forest produces among the local communities. But its functioning is not reported in most of the tribal areas, either due to the politicization of the resource management or the marketization of the resources. So, the state control over forest is a great cause of the depletion of the tribal territories and common property resources. The state markets these according to its choice, as the state has the full right over it. However, the enactment of the Panchayat, that is the extension to the Scheduled Areas Act in 1996 in Gram Sabha, has given the community full right over access and utilization of the resources, but in most of the tribal areas, the question of right still exists where the land acquisition, displacement and illegal restoration is vague. In fact, the tribals still do not have any participation in the decision making process. They refrain from the CPR use, which has led to the vulnerability of the people. Even the scheduled tribes and other traditional forest dwellers' Recognition of Forest Rights Act in the year 2006 seems to ignore the tribal people of the 6 scheduled areas who too mostly depend on the common property resources for their traditional instruments and house materials and practice jhum cultivation. So, the displacement due to development, conservation, disasters or conflict often led to tremendous alienation from common property resources such as forest, land, fodder or water. The subaltern groups including tribals, Dalits and other marginal groups lack legal titles to these resources, which are often communally owned or managed. Unfortunately, the current legal system in India neglects the key role played by common property resources in the sustenance of subaltern groups. In particular, subaltern women. Women have traditionally enjoyed a higher status in production systems that rely on common property resources. Moreover, they depend more than men on common property resources for their economic well-being and social status due to the gender-based division of labor that makes them caretakers of the family. However, legal processes justifying displacement in the name of eminent domain do not recognize the importance of CPRs and thus allow alienation processes to take place, which have a very negative impact on the gender and power dynamics in subaltern communities. Today also we can see the land alienation in the tribal areas, which is a common problem. The tribals voice against the alienation, but the politics of the state do not recognize them, their culture and livelihood. Across the Adivasi regions, the struggle against the alienation has been intensified. Some of the struggles today are the demand for the rights over jungle jamin. The tribals from southern Rajasthan and Van Gujar of Shivalik forest from Uttaranchal, Kols of Sangargarh from Uttar Pradesh and other tribal groups in the state of Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, Orissa and Madhya Pradesh, they are struggling for land and forest rights. Along with the recent tribal forest right bill, their struggles have been decisively politicized so as to evacuate the tribals and people living in and around forest areas. Now, when we look at the post-independence period, the construction of dams, minings and industries in the name of development has threatened the very livelihood of the scheduled tribe and scheduled caste population. The hand of bureaucrats and the state is clearly visible in these ventures. The state acts as agent in marketing the forest resources, the most important component of CPRs. The deprivation of the Adivasis, it has resulted in various problems such as health, education and vulnerability. The state on the one hand speaks about the protection of tribal communities, while on the other hand acts as an agent for selling tribal land to private companies in the sense of implementing the Land Acquisition Act of 1894, which makes a provision for acquiring land for some public purpose. Declaration of all natural forest as reserve forest by the British through the First Forest Act also transferred the legal right or ownership of the community to the states. Initially, there was no problem because there was plenty of forest. The representative of the state, like forest guards, could not reach interior village frequently. Thus, there was no threat to the traditional ownership pattern and social organization of the utilization of the resources. But the bureaucratic intervention in commercializing the state resources, particularly giving the forest investors, this has threatened the very pattern of ownership and resource accesses. After independence, the hold of the government over forest increased while certain concessions were given to the tribals, especially for the collection of MFPs for livelihood. Now, moving on to the next topic, why there is a decline of common property resources. Let us see what are the reasons for the decline. The common property resources are reported to have been declining, particularly in dry tropical region of India. Population pressure, market forces, outsiders' interventions, technological changes and environmental stresses are always attributed for the decline of common property resources. And due to privatization of resources, which is one of the main cause of its degradation. Dhadi Bhavi 2000 observes, under various welfare programs, the common property resource land had been distributed to people for private use. The CPR land had also been illegally appropriated, often with subsequent legislation. The stated intention of privatization of CPRs was to give land to the poor who were landless or who had very little land. During the recent past, while examining the new sources of stress disfavoring CPRs, Jodha 1995 has pointed out that the key factor adversely affecting the status of CPRs is the overall pattern of the rural transformation. According to him, the state's undeclared assault on common property resources, specific opportunities created by market forces, land hunger accentuated by population growth, collapse of traditional forms of rural cooperation, and reorientation of farming system, de-emphasizing the role of biomass are the key factors that have led to marginalization of common property resources role and decline of their area and productivity in the dry area. Babu and Dent in the year 1996 opined that irrespective of significant contributions to the rural community, the CPRs have been undergoing severe degradation, continuous erosion and are becoming transformed into open access resources. CPRs contribute greatly to rural populations. The potential of involving local people in equitable and participatory development has been continuously ignored by policymakers, researchers and planners. There have been some development interventions in the village common lands, but these have been half-hearted and did not involve systematic planning for participatory development. This has meant that although these areas have received technological inputs and financial support, they continue tribal territories and common property resources to be degraded. The tragedy of common is used to justify the adoption of incorrect methodology in village common property. Resources include village forests, pastures, wastelands, thrashing grounds and dumping grounds for agricultural crops and for storing cow dung, village ponds and small streams and rivers and their banks, etc. The common property resources play an important role in assuring the livelihood of the rural poor. The breakdown of traditional common property resource management systems not only causes environmental harm, as resources are severely degraded under open access regimes, but social harm because the poor can no longer depend on them. So there is need to ensure that the agenda of establishing social control of forest communities over India's forest that does not get eclipsed by the communalization of the resources. Finally, when the tribal people are landless and fall below the poverty line, they can survive only when they have access to common property resources in an equitable manner. Now, we have come to the end of this topic. So, in this session, we have discussed the legislative writs for tribal territories, and we also discussed the various legislations during the colonial as well as the post-colonial period that restricted the collective ownership's rights of the tribals, the free access of the tribals and other forest dwellers was restricted. On the contrary, the common properties and resources began to be commercialized. We also saw that the cultural ethos of the tribal communities also began to be ignored. Thus, there has been a decline of the common property resources due to various factors such as population pressure, market forces, outsiders' interventions, technological changes, environmental stresses, privatization of resources and so on. So then finally we saw that there is a need to ensure the establishing social control of forest communities over India's forests to protect, preserve and promote forest. Then when we say the common property resources are very important, because the self-regulatory capability of nature is a gift, it is the condition for the possibility of human existence. And when we say how there is a space for the work of nature when human relation to nature is mediated through groups, the idea of commons is not limited to property but to other freedoms of the mind, the body and the spirit that are linked with it. The first thing we have, the common, is freedom, without which there is neither the mind nor the spirit. These three are gifts of nature. We cannot be free until we cooperate with each other. This is because no one can live by himself in absolute of freedom. However, with the cooperation of others, he can. That is to say, my freedom is linked to the freedom of the other. To be free, one condition is independence. In this, the highest form of freedom is the freedom self. Without this, the other cannot be free. Property relation could be designed to ensure that there is no other in the process of using for production. Such property relations constitute the commons for forest dwellers in India. The sacred grovers are one instance. The commons is the source of regeneration and revitalization. What makes sacred groves commons is the capacity of self-generation or self-reproduction. So this capacity cannot be valued. It is valueless because its scale of time and space is far beyond the human scale. A realm of nature of that cannot be measured is thus left untouched. So it is inaccessible. There are no technical solutions to this problem. That is to say, no technology or technique can measure it. This makes it the commons. The commons are indispensable, and for this reason people have a relationship with it. The struggles for the recovery of the commons are thus not confined to the restoration of community ownership. It must be based on an understanding that nature has as much right to expression, and this is our freedom. The cultural systems described are only illustrations of what exists on the ground in many parts of India. For them, we learn alternative principle of organizing the economy. These may not be universalizable. However, for that reason, they should be given space for self-expression and not be transformed into whether private property or public property. So learners, I hope you would have understood the concept, meaning, features, and we also discussed what are the legislative measures, what are common property resources, and what are the reasons for decline of common property resources. I hope you would watch the video and learn from the learning materials. Thank you.